Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. I'm Muhammad Mirza from Ministry of Rural Development. My topic is on corporate governance and firm performance in Malaysian public listed companies. My study focuses on the relationship between board diversity and directors' remuneration with firm performance. So this is the overview of my study. This study aims to analyze the relationship between corporate governance practices, which is the board diversity and directors' remuneration, and firm performance, which is the net profit margin and return on assets among Malaysian public listed companies. On board diversity, in MCCG 2012, Recommendation 2.2, Board of Directors should establish a policy that promotes boardroom diversity and ensure women are being sought as part of its recruitment exercise. Board of Directors should explicitly disclose in the annual report its gender diversity policies and targets and the measures taken to meet those targets. Meanwhile, in MCCG 2017, companies openly disclose their policies for appointing more women to the board, as well as set targets and measures towards meeting those targets. Large companies are expected to appoint at least 30% women into the boards. On directors' remuneration, in MCCG 2012, board should establish formal and transparent remuneration policies to attract and retain directors. Meanwhile, in MCCG 2017, fair remuneration is critical to attract, retain and motivate directors and senior management, taking into account the complexity of the company's business and the individual's responsibility. Companies are also encouraged to make full disclosure by detailing the remuneration of each individual directors as well as member of senior management. On literature review, on corporate governance, a study by Mohan in 2018, CEO duality and board size found that there's a negative impact on firm performance. Another study by Velnampi in 2012 found that there's a positive relationship between corporate governance and firm performance. However, a study by Brown and Keller in 2005 found that the relationship between corporate governance and firm performance is not significant. On board diversity, a study by Korn Ferry in 2016 found that companies with at least 10% female directors perform better in terms of its ROA, while a study by Carter in 2013 found that board which consists of female and minorities has positive relationship with firm value. Another study by McKinsey in 2015 found that companies practicing gender diversity perform better in financial returns above national industry median. On directors' remuneration, study by Razali in 2018 found that there's a positive relationship between remuneration and firm performance. Study by Rampling in 2011 found that there's a high correlation between remuneration with firm performance. On net profit margin, study by Al-Matari in 2014 found that there's a great significance between corporate governance and performance measurement. Meanwhile, Yasir and Tebang and Mansour in 2011 found that there's a positive relationship between ROE and NPM with corporate governance elements. On ROA, the same study by Al-Matari in 2014 noted that the performance measurement such as ROA is widely used to measure firm performance. Also, a study by Brown and Keller in 2005 used ROA to measure financial performance for their analysis. In addition, Jackling and Joel also used ROA in analyzing firms' performance. On the population and sample size, the sample is on the top 100 listed companies, excluding banks and financial institutions. However, among the 100 listed companies, only the top 50 were analyzed, and out of 50, only 43 have complete data. And my observation is between 2013 and 2017. On the data collection method, observation is through collection of companies' annual report. On the variables, directors' composition, directors' remuneration, and the links to firm performance, which is calculated based on NPM, and ROA. My dependent variable is ROA and ROE. Meanwhile, my independent variable is director's remuneration, female director for the firm, and the firm size. My hypothesis development, the first one is there is a significant relationship between female board of directors and firm's ROA. Another hypothesis is there is a significant relationship between female board of directors and firm's NPM. My next hypothesis is there is a significant positive relationship between directors' remuneration and firm's ROA. And finally, there is relationship between directors' remuneration and firm's NPM. My study also includes influence of institutional investor. Examples of institutional investor includes the Employees Provident Fund, Retirement Fund, which is KOAP, Amanah Saham Bumiputra, and Khazanah Nasional. So based on my study, I found that EPF invested in 25 out of 43 companies being analyzed, which accounts to 58% of the total companies being analyzed. The second one is on the list is Amanah Saham Bumiputra, which consists of 26% out of the 43 companies. Next one is KOAP, whereby they invested in 23% or 10 companies out of the 43 companies being analyzed. And finally, Khazanah Nasional, which invests in 5 out of the 43 companies being analyzed. I also did analysis on the percentage of companies without female directors for a number of years. From my analysis, there are about 4 companies out of 43 which doesn't have any female directors for the 5 years being analyzed. Meanwhile, there are 6 out of 43 companies who did not have any female directors for 4 years. And 3 out of 43 companies didn't have any female directors for 3 years. The summary of my study is female directors, there is a positive correlation with NPM and ROA. Meanwhile, on directors' remuneration, found that there's a positive correlation with NPM, but a negative correlation with ROA. So the limitations of my study, the study was only limited to top 100 Malaysian public listed companies from 2013 to 2017 and excludes financial institutions. Not all company annual report are available in the Bursa Malaysia website. Some are not updated both in Bursa website as well as the company's own website. Time frame of the study is only 5 years. Another one is adoption of MCCG was not mandatory prior to 2017, and not many companies fully adopt the recommendations in MCCG. Another limitation to my study is that more variables should be used to increase the number of and also to increase the number of observations. My recommendation is to study more independent variables to have a better picture of the relationship, to increase the samples or observations and increase years of observations from 5 years to 10 years, and to analyze types of decision made by female directors and its impact towards performance of company. Another point is to study on the range of remuneration between directors in the same industry. This is to have a clear distinction according to size of company in terms of its market capital and types of industries. And finally, I would recommend to analyze involvement of institutional investor and its relationship with corporate governance practices and impact on firm performance. So the importance of my study and its implications towards government policy. The study can be applied to government-linked companies. It is not only for the public listed companies. We can also use the study to look at how women directors can improve the performance of government-linked companies. Another importance of the study is to strengthen dasar wanita negara, whereby there is a policy on having at least 30% women at decision-making level. Another important point is we can also improve on the MCCG to review the Companies Act 2016, whereby we make it mandatory to amend the Companies Act 2016. Another point is to improve on the MCCG, whereby we can review the Companies Act 2016 and make it mandatory through amendment of the Companies Act of 2016, and to make it a requirement in Bursa Malaysia, whereby we can make it a mandatory policy where necessary or where government sees fit. And finally, institutional investor controlled by government, especially Khazanah Nasional and EPF, controlled by government, can lead the way in terms of acting on policy called by the government, especially on remuneration quantum and the number of women directors. Thank you.